Let's just get going. This is called the Unimaginable, like your animal, not Unimaginable Zero Summer by Wildern Band. Wildern Band. So let's do this. All right.
There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth and every common sight to me, did seem apparelled in celestial light. The glory and the freshness of a dream. It is not
Wild
now
Run
as it hath
Band.
been
Okay, thank
afore.
you.
Turn wheresoe'er I may, by night or day, the things which I have seen, I now can see no more. Weak for too long to notice the calling. Weak for too long to feel the falling. Days carried on, the touch but unsent. No time to hear my voice in the distance.
Sorry about that. All right, before we get a little further in there, I was still muted. I had no idea. I'm freaking muted most of the time in my own brain cells, but sorry about that. I was really getting really super into the chord changes, which was like, it was dark, it was meandering and lonely sounding without having to use dissonance to create any kind of creepiness in the changes. It was very heavy. With the guitar chords that were being played. And then as the violin comes in, I think it could have been a viola, but a violin comes in, once again, just starting to add a little bit of the ambience. But then what was really nice is that the vocals, is that the violin in the first half of that section was following the vocals. So with its own dynamics, was adding this very unique little threading, this kind of uniquely soulful little section, if you would. And then it started to fill up a little more. It got a little more bolder with the string arrangements on the second part of the vocals. And then we just come into this section here. And I love the fact that they go into a blast beat. We're starting to get gnarly now. but they go into a blast beat and respect, as far as I'm concerned, respect the sonic canvas in which they've started their arrangements on. They didn't throw some really dark heaviness over the top metal yet. We're only got 10 minutes left. But at least the blast beat in the mix isn't so in your face that it's taking a precedence, but it does create, you know, that anxiety without it getting in your face and taking you down a different road. The bass is doing some amazing work in here. That left hand on the piano. Excuse me. You know, what really makes that growling work for me and that fried vocals is the fact that the intensity and the arrangements in the back, that the liquidity of the ambience and the ethereal aspect that, or the dynamics that the chord changes deliver. You know, there's a lot of like seconds, fourths, ninths that are hanging out in a lot of the chord changes, excuse me, that give you this kind of like hopeful feeling that there's going to be something really super positive that come out of a change that's going to come around with the chords, but they don't quite get there. And where the growling wasn't all that, it really lent itself to a really gnarly kind of Phrygian mode possibility. There are a couple modes you can play over that, but this one definitely was kept on leaning back in on that riff, was definitely leaning back in on the root of the key there, the key structure. And they were using some very wide open intervals with the guitars and stuff like that. Plus, they still have a lot of the arrangements that are happening in the background still throughout this track that are more ambient, if it's like vocalish or vocal pads or some kind of padded arrangements, or if it's, I don't know, I'm having a hard time right now, heavy layered guitars or stuff that are creating that thickness and that richness. You know, but it's really, really super cool. And the fact that they keep that really grinding in there is not making it soft. You know, and once the guys got in with the band and it got dark and gnarly, it's staying that way. But I'm just a sucker for that ambient, ethereal kind of vibe in the background. They're just delivering it, you know, just full on plus 20 fire damage there. I love what they're doing with the piano there. Got that Danny Elfman thing going there, right there. love how they had the acoustic guitar still going off in there. Wow, listen to that bass. Ride. Viking, Oregon. I'm not kidding you. This kind of music would have been just epic in a more progressive kind of Game of Thrones kind of vibe. You know, that's the way I'm looking at it because of the fact that they've got this Renaissance power arrangements that are going on in the background with the vocals and a lot of the bigger elements back there, and how they're like holding those notes out, quarter notes, whole notes, some whole notes that are ripping through the measures and the whole thing. Also, I'm listening to this going, man, this could also be a soundtrack for Doom. I mean, yeah, really? These guys are creating such a dark medieval universe effect with these kind of shifts in the composition. I know, I noticed that bell up there. MM.
Breezes of the empty brush past the surface. All the voices wither. The limbs are quiet. Is there time to return to the blood of nothing? Can the blood not follow the stream?
Chord 3 and 4 are just so beautifully icky. Love how the strings come in here. Nice chord change. I love bands that do this. Take the time out and the energy to do these kind of dynamics in a track. Wish I could hear a little more of that bass. I was gonna say before I know we're at the end how these phrases let you off the hook briefly. They let you off the hook with a major resolution to the chord changes, makes you feel lifted, and then brings it back down. And I also loved where this lead solo or the lead guitar or the melodic. It doesn't sound really solo as much as it does purposely written melodic is placed in the mix on this. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about for me, is how well the engineer did to keep this beast under control. I was waiting for the strings to sneak in. Well, that was the end of it. It looks like it was going into another track. The answer to your question, Sneak, was 14 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm going to put the link to this video in the chat just in case anybody wants to check them out, save that, and listen to more of their work. That was an incredible piece of work. It's just one of those things that, once again, outside of the nuances that I was able to pick out from it, this is where you get really involved in a piece of work and in a track when I'm listening to it, just really relishing in the dynamics of what it is that they're doing in this. And if this is a concept album, there's another term for that, not concept album, but when you start from first to the last track, it's one through piece of like an album. Is it called the concept album? Is that what it is? Something like that? Yeah, Sneak, I was thinking about that. I mean, it makes it kind of fun it only takes a second for me to share that outbound too as well. There is some other word for that. I forget what it is. But anyhow, it was just great, but it was huge in a theatrical way. So this is kind of a project that I definitely would have to listen through top to bottom on like Spotify and just let it play through. But I loved what it pulled from me without going into decomposer mode. I loved what it pulled through me from here. even the growling in the darkest part of the vocals as it got, it was just so well suited for what was supporting that vocal performance, that part of it, you know, with the heaviness of the music behind it, but that constant ethereal or ambient vibe one way or another, whether they were doing it with guitars, vocals, or whatever. I'm a sucker for that stuff. Liquid and Silco, thank you very much for that. Rock opera, yeah, but more like a metal opera, metal classical. I don't even know how to call it. I guess, yeah, rock opera would be the thing to call it, but